How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I hope I can give you some information. My reluctancy to I don't do many interviews because pretty much everything I've done I've said everything already. So it's
Well, maybe I can ask you some things that nobody's ever asked you before.
You could try. Sure.
Okay. I really want to know more about you. Everybody knows about David, but not many people know about Sam Hyman. But I do know that the fans are going to want me to ask some questions about David, or they're just going to scream at me if I don't. So I'll get those out of the way first. They're probably ones that you have already answered already.
Okay.
And if just answer them to the best of your ability, or however you want to answer them, okay, Sam, or just say pass. I don't remember that one. But first of all, I'll just jump in. First question is, Sam, can you just tell us how you met David?
We met through a mutual friend. My best friend in grade school, grammar school, became friends with David in the 7th grade at a junior high. I didn't go to that junior high. I went to a different one out of district for a couple of years. And we were introduced by this friend. We didn't become best friends right away, but friendship was developed over time.
Oh, well, how nice. And you and David had a lot of similarities in your life, didn't you? Like you were both, I think, born on the same year, both on a Wednesday, and your fathers, you had some similarities with them as well. Can you tell us about that?
I guess let's see. Well, yeah, we were born the same year, although he was 6 weeks older. Let's see. Both of our fathers were named Jack. There's one that I don't think people know.
Interesting. That's interesting, yeah.
And both of our fathers died young.
Yes. Okay. I knew that. Okay. Were their personalities similar in any way?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't know his father that well. He was probably one of the most charismatic men I've ever been around. And it could have just been where I was maturity-wise and life experience-wise at that time. But Jack Cassidy was a dashing, debonair human being that was very impressive. He lit up a room when he walked into it.
Yes, I've heard that. So that's kind of nice to hear you confirm that. Okay, so Sam, what was it like to be friends with David Cassidy?
Well, what's it like? First of all, David was not a famous person when we became friends. We were, we became closer during high school years, and get into trouble together. We both smoked. We were both short and smoked cigarettes, so that's, I think, was our bonding. And we got into trouble as young boys trying to become men. And it wasn't, once fame came in to the picture, it changed things as far as his lifestyle went. It didn't change our relationship at all.
How did it change your lifestyle?
Well, we obviously, I did the merchandising and concert for him, so it allowed me to travel around the world. We lived in a pretty nice house. We went from mattresses on the floor and orange crates for furniture to, a grown-up house very quickly. And but there was a big price to pay for all of that.
Yeah. So would you say that the house you lived in Laurel Canyon would be the most fun time you had together before all the fame hit?
Ooh, it's subjective, I guess. It was more innocent fun. At that point, we were both struggling and striving to move up the ladder of success, and he got on the elevator and it went real quick.
Right.
And it actually made us closer because when that happens, a big team is put together around a person like that. You got publicity agents and managers and agents and all sorts of stuff, and and people are with you, as long as you're a hit, successful,
right.
And I, was with him no matter what, the ups and the downs, over the 53, 54 years that we were friends.
That's just amazing. A lot of friends don't last that long. I mean, a lot of them don't. I mean, I was good friends with my high school girlfriend for years, and then we just drifted apart. So that's amazing, Sam.
Yeah, well, we drifted apart as well. When it started to happen for him, and we saw the trajectory on the teen magazines, I had said to David, I said, hey, our friends are going to think you're pretty lame becoming a teen idol, because that's not, we were kind of bad boys in high school. And, and he, I said, but this is it's an opportunity of a lifetime.
It certainly was.
And I'm with you. I got your back. And, but, understand we're going to take flack from our friends. And we did on a lot of levels. And then as his fame grew, it was amazing how many friends came back into the fold.
Well, that's interesting.
People are attracted. People want to be around famous people for whatever reason.
Yeah, that is very true, isn't it? I mean, that brings me to my next question. I know he had a lot of crazy fans, and they would do anything they could to get near him or talk to him or touch him. Did they ever try to go through you to get to him? And if they did, do you have like some funny story to share?
God, I just, I can't remember if it was Cleveland. There was a concert where I got rushed. I was recognized, and then I got rushed and pinned against a wall.
Oh my!
And it was frightening.
Oh, I bet.
Very frightening. See, I dictated. I spoke to Tiger Beat magazine once a month. I had an article that ran monthly. They would just interview me for it.
Right.
They would write it. I didn't do the actual scribing. But, it was like living with David by his roommate, Sam.
Yeah.
And so people knew who I was. They could recognize, because my pictures were in there as well. So I had a modicum of fame in that. I remember I think it was Cleveland, because it scared the hell out of me. And where was it? Oh, it was Madison Square Garden. I got to be the decoy in the limo leaving
Oh, I bet that was
stadium.
Scary.
And the limo got surrounded, and they started climbing on it, and the roof started to come in.
Oh my!
I mean, I thought I was going to be crushed to death. And by the time they cleared the kids off, he was long gone. He was out in a laundry truck or something. I can't remember, but so that's what he had to live with during the height of his fame.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the concert he described, that they had to take him to a hotel outside, like in Queens area, that was a trashy place.
Yeah, it was like a $2 a night hotel.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact dollar amount.
Yeah.
But it was, Fleabag, a place you probably rent by the hour.
Right. Yeah. I imagine that was pretty scary. And I also heard that they had turned over several limousines, so you were lucky you weren't in one of those, I'm sure.
I did. I don't know if that really happened. I mean, you say that. I don't recall that.
Oh, you
it may
don't?
have happened.
That's interesting. Okay.
It's
that could be a myth.
They take a life. They take on a life of their own.
Yeah.
Myths. It's they just keep growing and growing. Hey, were you in the limo that got destroyed? What got? And it may have, because this is 50 plus years ago, I think.
Right. It's been a while. It's been a ways back. I
mean, I do know that. I mean, the concert was one of the highlights of his touring. The pinnacle of it. Standing there. toward the back or in the middle with his mom, both of our eyes teared up, because it was like for the first two songs, it was just flash. In those days, you had little Instamatic cameras. You didn't have phones.
Right.
And people were just flashing pictures. It was like a strobe light show, and there was, her son and my buddy, up there on the stage. It was like, wow, he's made it,
Yeah, that would be amazing to witness. Very amazing.
Yeah, to get to share it, and then he's sitting in some crappy motel, with dirty sheets and sweaty, and he probably didn't even. I don't even know if he showered there. Because it might have been too grimy.
Yeah, I would have wanted to. That's for sure.
It's like, and I guess they did that for security reasons, but
right.
That. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it sure did. It sure did. Did do you think that he was a very misunderstood singer or musician by the industry?
Well, absolutely, especially as time progressed, because he got better.
Yes, his albums he made after the Partridge Family, they were phenomenal.
And he just, he became a consummate professional musician, as well as a singer and a celebrity. And, at the beginning, I mean, when you say misunderstood, because he made this pop stuff, which is well produced.
Right.
Pop,
it's good stuff, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, that's why our friends and I think the industry thought of his lane. Because it was just, you're just being, you're a pretty face just popping out this stuff. And so he had to prove himself. And, it took me years till I really respected him as a musician.
That's interesting, Sam. Okay.
I mean that, in fact, it was 2012. He came by, he was doing a meet and greet at a restaurant, my restaurant. My wife and I just opened, and he had done a concert the night before that I went to, and he took, somebody said something from the audience, which sparked something, and it reminded him of a song, and he started kind of like humming the song and then kind of remembering words to it. It never had performed the song, and then the band, as he was singing, came in. First the piano and then the drum very lightly and then the bass, and then they performed the song. And I went, wow, that's a true musician. That's like a jazz musician extemporaneously can just go and do it. And, and I've confirmed that with his musical director, Craig, who said they didn't rehearse because David wanted it to be on the edge all the time of creating.
Wow, that is really interesting too.
That's what jazz musicians do.
Wow.
They're in the moment creating. They're not rehearsing it where they're just, because what happens, you just start phoning in. You're just going through the motions.
Right.
And you're not there emotionally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think he did a great job of always keeping it fresh. Yes, I agree. And he had that jazzy, bluesy kind of voice. Anything he sang in that, genre was just amazing.
Yeah, no, he was a very talented singer, as well, but it came so quick, and he knew kind of what to do because, he idolized his father.
Right.
And, but he wanted to be a serious musician, serious actor. And it was very hard for him to break, the teenage mold, a lot had to do with his looks,
Right. Exactly. So if he were ugly, he might have done better, huh?
Well, yeah, or maybe he was able to grow a full beard or, do something different. He had a pretty face.
Yeah. Was he able to grow a beard?
Little,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his mustache would be kind of sparse. That's why I was able to, grow a full beard, when I was 16 years old. So I was always the one sent in to buy beer.
Right.
And I didn't succeed all the time. Sometimes they'd say, "And can I see your ID?" I'd go, "Oh, I left it in the car." That line.
You're right.
And we'd boogie to the next liquor store till someone sold us a 6-pack of beer. But
that's funny. So you were probably like this older guy that looked like he was traveling around with this young kid.
Well, I didn't really, I didn't look that old. It's just, and for a while I was totally clean shaven. And so we looked about the same age.
Okay. Good enough. I noticed that he had a lot of trouble with record companies folding and getting his music played on the radio. Do you have any idea why that was? It just bad luck, or?
I think it was the nature of the business back then. Was it the A&R people? I'm trying to remember the terms. People that would go out to get you on the radio,
mm-hmm.
and they would have. Oh, the playlists were short. 30, 40 songs maybe, and so there was a lot of probably payola going on, and people were they were reluctant to him once Partridge Family kind of went away. The TV exposure wasn't there, and it was like, no, I'm not going to play a teeny bopper guy. Yeah. He's done, and I believe that's maybe what happened. Why it was a problem, or they weren't willing to put the resources behind it. I put that in quotes because I wasn't involved in that part of his business. I really wasn't involved in his business at all, except for the merchandising.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And that was only in concert because that way he could make a little bit of money. Because it was hard to collect money from the record companies, from what I understand. They'd write off everything, so they'd be living a high life on your dime.
Oh, wow.
Is how I think it worked. You'd sell 1 million records and they'd go, yeah, but we paid these 20 people and all of the dinners that they had with the radio places gets written off.
Yeah.
On your
right.
expense, I think is how it works. So it's the same thing that, actors used to complain about with when they get a piece of the movie. Oh. And the movie will gross a lot of money and they don't see a dime, and it's
mm-hmm.
like, well, we had a lot of expenses. And so.
Yeah, I think I'd heard that singers do not make money off their records. Their money, it comes from the concerts. That's why they do the concerts.
Yeah, comes from the concerts and comes from publishing if you write the songs.
Oh, true. Very true.
That's where the money. And that gets maybe regulated better. Now, I don't know with the streaming and all the stuff now, or clicks and all this, the ways the modern music industry is. From musicians I've talked to that have had minor successes, and it's 0.000001 or something every time it's streamed, so it's like, well, yeah, it was downloaded 200,000 times and I've made $1,200 on it, or whatever.
Right.
It's like you can't make a living on. You're not going to the mailbox every week and going Yahoo. So, but that's where publishing is where it's
where it is.
It's at.
That's what Dolly Parton always said.
Yeah, and Mike Nesmith of the Monkees.
Oh, true. Mm-hmm.
That's why if you're a singer-songwriter and become successful, i.e. like a Taylor Swift.
Right.
Or Ed Sheeran, those type of people, oh my gosh.
Right.
It's scary.
Yeah, Taylor Swift is set for life for sure. So were you able to talk to David before he passed? Like when he was in the hospital, were you able to call him and talk to him before?
I was not able. My last communication with him was texting about 10 days before he died. We had spoken when he had gotten out of the hospital in Chicago, and he was on his way back to Florida. And that's when his organs had actually started to shut down.
Right.
And they had him on medication and stuff. And, it was, and he sounded horrible.
Ugh.
And, then he got to Florida, and we maintained contact, through texting. He'd go,
Right.
they took me off the meds. I'm getting better. Boom. And then he died.
Oh, my. Yeah.
So it was...
well, I'm glad you got to talk to him at least during that time.
A little bit, yeah, But, I wish I had been there at the time, but unfortunately I didn't get out in time.
Yeah. Well, let's turn the interview more towards you, Sam. Can you tell us about yourself?
Gosh. I've had, I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none. Over my adult life, which started at 19, because that's when we moved out. We were 19 years old. I've done so many different things throughout my careers, and it's and some of it's been extraordinary. Obviously my time with David during the height of his career is one of the highlights of my life. People that we got to meet, people that I still meet today.
Are you still friends with some of them? Are you still friends with some of the people that was in those circles that you were traveling with David at that time?
Not really. No. It's how should I say? The people that we toured with, no. I mean, if I contacted them, they would remember me. Like I got to connect with Henry Diltz recently, about a year ago.
Yes.
Maybe a year and a half ago at this point. And it came through. I had befriended a musician here locally, and turns out that Henry Diltz shot his first album cover back in the 70s. And, I was able on his 70th birthday to, through Henry's archivist, to get pictures signed by Henry and framed that I could give to this musician.
How
like
nice.
The flash of a pass, like here you are at 21 years old or 22 or whatever he was. And, and Henry and I did it was for the I Think I Love You Animal Foundation. You wouldn't call it a podcast because it was on video.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Yes.
And they were auctioning things. I don't know the term for it, but, Henry and I shared the screen together as we were reminiscing or doing whatever we were talking about. And Henry remembered me, and of course I would never forget Henry.
Right.
So that it's not that like we speak all the time or anything like that, but I'm trying to think. No, there's. But I'm trying to think of who recently, when I say recently, like within the last year or so, that I may have met that I wouldn't have met had it not been for my association with David. And there were a ton of people back in the day, but
right.
don't have to name drop all these people, but a lot of it was was highlights, people that I admired and idolized, was kind of, and we're fans of. It's like, oh my God, because fame attracts fame.
Yes, it does. Well, I've always have been fascinated with Laurel Canyon and all the musicians that lived there and that time and that era. Were they all still there when you and David were living there?
Oh yeah, but we weren't part of that crowd. We weren't cool enough. Which is true because we only lived there for a year, and. That was, Stephen Stills and Graham Nash and the Monkees and Linda Ronstadt and that whole era, Jackson Browne, just this era of brilliant writers and musicians.
Oh, I know.
And
How neat
they
would it
were
have been?
all more accomplished than David as musicians at that time. And then once the Partridge Family hit, because no one knew he could sing even when they signed him for the Partridge Family. And
Right.
so all of a sudden he says, no, I can sing. And he talks him into letting him lay down the vocals for I Think I Love You. And boom, all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're a pop star. You're a teeny bopper pop star. And so, the cool kids didn't let us play with them.
But he soon got to a place, like you said, where they all started, well, this is cool. Because I know he did stuff with America, a lot of the albums he did later on, and, some of the other.
He hooked up with America, and he got, and people that he met, and not hung with a lot, but got to spend some time with, from like Paul McCartney and George Michael, and just the who's who of David Bowie, people that he respected and admired a lot, and, it's like, God, I had dinner with David Bowie or whatever it was. And, trying, because he was hoping to hook up with somebody that would go, let me produce you.
Right.
Let's make a new sound for you. Let's make a new, and I think they tried, some of them, I think he did something with George Michael in England. I'm not sure. It never clicked. It didn't rub off, unfortunately, because, many of them could see his talent and probably wanted to be part of it. It's like, gosh, if I can help resurrect him.
Right. Well, as he had such a huge following, that was nothing small to, shake your head at.
Yeah, no, he was a huge star. We used to talk about how frightening it would be if it happened today, with social media, with what it is and how it works. I don't know if we would have survived.
Exactly.
Really, because we were at least somehow able to hide or get go under the radar. Where now it's like, you can't sneeze without people saying you're going to the hospital with pneumonia.
Exactly.
And it's just so hard it was hard enough for him mentally, and then in today's climate I think it would have broke him or me. Yes. And both of us, would we have survived? Would we have gotten into drugs even more? You don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they say that even today that nobody has gotten to that height of fame that David had back in 1970 is, not even Justin Bieber has gotten to that place. So it's
apparently, yeah. He had his fan club was like 250,000 people or something, which was bigger than the Beatles or Elvis, which I found, you find hard to believe.
I know.
He always, once he got on board with it, when it was like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm going to be the biggest there is. He believed in it. He believed in himself, and, it's kind of like, how do you get that kind of confidence?
Right.
When you haven't been doing it that long. You're not that, he wasn't a virtuoso. He wasn't a prodigy, musically, that was like, oh yeah, he's doing concerts at 4 years old. He was playing Mozart, it's like, and his guitar talent stuff was basic at the time, but he kept at it for years and years and years and practicing and getting better and better, and then also, I guess, the experience of Broadway and the musicals he did.
Which he was excellent at those too.
So it was, he had obviously a storied career as far as so many ups and downs.
Right.
And, he'd always bounce back, except, toward the end here, he didn't bounce back, and he was only, able to get 4 songs on that Songs My Father Taught Me.
And what wonderful album that is to have. That was a cherished gift to
Oh my
everyone as
God.
well,
Oh,
too.
geez. I mean, when I saw Craig at his memorial, uh, he was crying and I'm hugging him, and I just whispered in his ear. I said, I don't know how much you were able to get or save or put together. I want to hear it.
Aw.
Because I know what it meant to him. And he was able to put it together as a song, a little bit from this take, a little bit from that take. Because you probably saw that documentary that was shot during that time.
Yes, that was...
What was it, the last session or something like that?
Yeah, the last session. Yeah, that absolutely broke my heart.
Oh, my God.
I think it took me months to get over it.
Except for the beginning.
Yeah.
Where the only reason I consented to do that because I was concerned. David kept laying on the problems he was having physically on Alzheimer's. And it's like, hey, that's not fair to the people that really have it.
Yeah.
In a progressive sense. And, what killed him was alcoholism. And that's why I did that, because that's what I wanted to let people know, that, his organs shut down from the disease of alcoholism. Doesn't make him bad. There's gazillion alcoholics
absolutely
around.
It's not his fault. Yeah, it's not his fault.
But to understand that, maybe if there's one person that gets sober because of it, then great. But I don't know if you recall at the beginning of the last session, he admits that.
Yes.
And they didn't. God, it was like a 3-hour interview with the camera rolling, and they never let on that he had done that. Because I kept going back, to that point, and then all of a sudden this thing starts, and he admitted it, and it was like a relief for me. It was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. Do you think that he thought he had it, that he did have Alzheimer's, though, in the beginning?
Well, I think he may have had the beginning stages of it. His mother had it, and his grandfather had it, and, so he was obviously afraid of it, and he had done some testing. Did he go to where was it, in Texas?
Yes.
I think he went, and they, whatever they do with it, whether it's the Doppler or whatever, they could tell by the colors, when the brain is transmitting.
Right.
And I think he may have had beginning stages of it, but, it's kind of like, oh, okay, if you're there, now's the time to exercise, eat right.
Exactly.
Push it back, push it off, and look at they're starting to come out with drugs, and that slow it down, and you give yourself a shot, and but obviously he kept drinking to the point where once the liver and kidney shut down, it's pretty much over.
Yeah. Yes. It's very, very sad ending. Very, very sad ending. You want to just go back. All of us just want to go back and rewrite it, to save him.
Me too. Yeah, it's and we had discussed it. I used to say, "Damn it, David," I said, "my biggest fear is that I'm going to be watching the news and find out you had died in the bathtub like Whitney Houston."
Oh my, yeah.
And he would go, "No, nah, not me. I don't have a drinking problem." It's like, oh, bullshit.
So how did he deny it pretty much all the way to the end?
No, toward the end, he knew he had it, but there was quite a period where he denied it, and it's like, hey, in fact, when he called me from Chicago at the airport when he was on his way back to Florida and he sounded terrible, I said something to him like, "Well, David, I hope this is your bottom. I hope you realize it, because that's the only way you're going to get better. You've got to say, shit, I can't do this anymore."
No, maybe it might have been, but it was too late, wasn't it?
Who knows? Yes, I can't say, oh, he didn't have a drink after that. I don't know, and it doesn't matter at this point, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm definitely not kicking him when he's down.
Exactly. Exactly.
And if he did, if he realized, because you hear you hear a lot of stuff, when people are addicted. Like, okay, I'm in a program, I'm going to Alcoholics Anonymous, or I'm Narcotics Anonymous, or whatever. I'm working the steps. I've got a sponsor. And some people make it and some don't.
I know I lived with somebody who was an alcoholic, a severe alcoholic, and really bad one, and thought he would never change either, but he did, and I don't know, and he to this day still does not drink. So I think what he told me was, you've got to find something that's more important to you than the alcohol. It's got to be more important to you that you will give it up completely and not want to go back. And some people get to that place, and some people don't.
Yeah, it's. I know when I run into people, being in the restaurant business and getting to see a lot of live music around. If you offer somebody a drink, and they'll say, "Oh, no, thanks. I drank enough in my youth to cover me the rest of my life." I get it.
Yeah.
It's like,
yes.
"Oh, come on, you can have one." No,
yeah.
It's like, okay, you
you
want a
need to
soda, you
respect
want
those.
coffee, what do you want? But you don't try to force them into having a drink.
Right. They deserve respect when they give you a comment like that. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wanted to talk about, you had mentioned the I Think I Love You Foundation, and I know that you are a supporter of that. Can you tell us, what drove you to want to support that group?
Well, who contacted me? Was it Annette? I can't remember who got in touch with me.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me who was involved. Well, and that's when we did that video podcast thing. And, it was like, sure, I'll support this because of David's love for horses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's a way of honoring him in a way that I believe he would have been supportive of.
Yes, I think so too.
Because there was, I know fans put together a star on Las Vegas for him, and some have wanted to do it here in Hollywood, the Walk of Fame here. And he was not into that. I knew he wasn't into that. And that's why I did not go. I said, no,
yeah.
I respectfully, I understand it's for the fans.
It's for the fans.
They're the ones that want to
yes.
walk on the sidewalk and look down on it and laugh or cry or play his music or do it. Just when you walk. We grew up in West LA near Hollywood. We live near Hollywood, where you walk on the streets a lot, and you go, oh, look, and you'd see some famous actor or whatever. And, but, it's something that's kind of arranged through the PR people, and there's a cost to it. And it was kind of a false award.
Right. Yeah,
and
exactly.
And he used to, we had talked about it many times ago. Hell no, he wasn't. David had an ego like any big performer.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But not that kind of stuff.
Not even the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I take it. He didn't really care about that as well either, right?
I think I don't know. I think, he never got, I don't think he was he ever nominated for a Grammy? I think he was for one song, maybe. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he may have, I can't answer that for him, I think he may, because the word rock and roll, but right. I don't know the politics that goes into that.
Well, I know his, I happen to get to know the executive producer on his Getting It in the Streets album.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to help me. We were there for a while. We were thinking about trying to see because he's gotten a couple of artists in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And he loved David, wanted to see if we could get David in there. And then, we finally decided that it wasn't a good idea because, the politics, it was so bad. It was really bad. And people were buying their way in. And He said this is, and people today don't really have an appreciation for that award. So a lot of musicians are not even accepting the award because of the way it's been being run. It's kind of like a men's club where they only get the people in that they like, and if they don't like you, you're not getting in.
And didn't Dolly decline?
Dolly did decline, and that's why she declined. And Alan Abrams is the person that I'm talking about, his executive producer for RCA on that album. He's also worked with Dolly as well, and he was the one who told me that, Dolly didn't really want the award, but they kept coming at her, and she finally said okay. But I don't think it doesn't have the prestigious tag to it that it used to have, or if it even ever really did have, because of the way they're getting people in. So we dropped it because of those reasons.
Yeah, and someone was telling me that it's beyond the years or something since his last record, and I didn't know there was a time limit on it.
I didn't know there was a time limit on it either. I thought you could get it as long as you want. I mean, as long as whenever. Yeah, I don't know about that. I can't speak to that, but we decided not to do it because we realized that David, if he were alive today, probably wouldn't want to go there because of how it's turned out.
If that's what it's evolved to, yeah. There's a gazillion awards shows or museums or whatever. Yeah. Some have more clout than the others. I watched the Grammys this year. I think I knew 2 people.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, you are.
I don't think I would know him either, Sam. But I'm from your era, too.
Those are, I guess, for people that go to Cleveland, my corporate headquarters for one of the companies I worked for was in Cleveland. So I would have to go to Cleveland occasionally. When I was there, I went, and I remember seeing the Osmonds were in there, but David wasn't.
Well, they're not. I don't think the Osmonds they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, are they? I think they might have. Did they have like a display in there?
Yeah, there was a display. I don't know if they were actually.
Yeah, they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And it was like that era of pop, teeny bop music, and it was like, why don't they have a display for David?
Well, no, they did at one time. They had a Partridge Family display case. Yes, I don't know if it's still there, but they did eventually get a Partridge one. Not too long ago, actually.
Oh, I was going to say I missed it.
Yeah, you must have missed it. But, yeah. Well, here's another thing. I wanted to ask you about Rim Talley. Talley?
Rim Talley.
Talley. Yes. Rim Talley.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
It's a Thai restaurant that my wife is the brains and beauty behind. She's the chef, and we opened it over 13 years ago, and have made it. And it's excellent food. It's a very quaint little place. There are only 7 tables inside and like 6 tables outside. Oh, that
is quaint and intimate.
Yeah, very, very nice. And it's got a view of the ocean, and it's a cool little place, which we're real proud of ourselves that we've survived a lot of challenges over the last 13 years.
Oh, you've gone through a lot, haven't you? COVID? You survived COVID?
Construction on the street, which put a wall up in front of us for 10 months.
Wow.
We opened it up during the recession. So it was, one thing after another. And, but it's a nice community that we're in that's starting to get gentrified, because it's a little beach town. And, hope it doesn't get too gentrified. I don't, hope the planning people, do it right, but,
I hope so too.
City planners like the revenue.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. So as far as dishes go, I've had Thai once in my lifetime, and it was very, very hot and spicy. Is there something on the menu for everyone, or is all the dishes pretty much made with the same type of spices?
First of all, there's dishes that are not spicy, and then there's a level of spice that you can get. Some dishes, like the curry dishes, have a little bit of inherent heat because of the curry.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very moderate. We're kind of a fusion of Thai in that it's from different regions of Thailand, because my wife was born in Laos, and
she has
you don't have to get hot.
Okay.
And,
well, if I come
really
there, if I come there, Sam, just know I'm going to not want hot, okay?
Sure. Yeah, no. It's I hardly add any heat anymore. The older I get, the less heat I can take gastrointestinally.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, you try. The people that seem to order the hottest are the non-Thai people.
Really?
It's like a macho thing, like. That's why those hot chicken places are the craze right now.
Oh my!
Dave's Hot Chicken or Angry Chicks, and if you order a 10, they make you sign a waiver. And
oh my!
All this stuff, and it's mostly young diners that do that.
I was going to say it has to be.
And they're paying $14 for a $5 sandwich you can get at Popeyes or something, but
oh my.
It's a kind of a gimmick, or people think like Mexican food all has to be hot and spicy, and there are different regions that it's not. So it's the same thing with Thai.
Okay. Speaking of your wife, now her name is short. Her nickname is Pony. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. Ponie.
That's what I thought. I thought it was Pony. So she has an interesting story of how she came to America. Can you tell us about that, or is that too personal?
Well, briefly, she had to escape her country when it fell to the communists.
Oh, boy.
And when she was 18, and she had to, I'll make the story real short, she had to cross the Mekong River, and she didn't know how to swim, so she floated with a trash bag filled with air, and the Lao army was tipped off that these kids were escaping the country and were shooting at them.
Oh, my.
And they made it to the other side of the river and were met by the Thai army because they heard the gunshots, and they took them to a village where they had to stay overnight, sitting in a circle where all the villagers were circled around them. And then she was taken to a refugee camp where it took her 9 months to get to the United States because she got political asylum to come here, and had 2 sisters and a brother here already. And that was, 40 plus years ago.
My goodness. Well, what a blessing that she survived and was able to come here and, live here and meet you and live happily ever after with you.
Yeah, no, she's, she has, an extraordinary background, and she's not a spoiled American, so she was willing to take the chance on opening a restaurant. I was very hesitant. And, she just said, what happens? What's the worst that can happen? I said, we lose our life savings. She said, well, then we start over.
Wow. That's a great attitude.
Yeah. And at 60 years old, the thought of starting over was not on my to-do list. But we did it and made it. So.
Well, you've definitely done a great job because it seems to be thriving. I hear reports from Denise Ames, your friend Denise Ames, tells me about it, and coming and visiting with you and talking with you. So it sounds like you're doing a wonderful job, you and Pony both.
Well, thank you.
So, Sam, it was wonderful talking to you.
Okay, I hope I gave you a little good information there that you can use.
You sure did.
I have to tell you, your website is hard to get on without, like, you get these warnings, like you're going to be hacked or you're hacked, and
oh my, I did not know
this
that.
Thing up, to get this anti-hacking device, and I immediately shut my computer down, did it, and then went, and I actually went in because you were right, I couldn't get in with that the first thing you gave me, and so I looked it up. and went in, and I was able. It's like, okay, I'm starting, and now I want to see what they're saying about David. You know, I was scrolling, and another thing came up to get like an antivirus thing.
Well, so I will look into that.
Want to check into, or have somebody
absolutely
check into.
Well, thank you for that. I definitely will look into that. I had no idea. So, but you've given us some wonderful, fond memories of, of your life with David, and, you as well, and your wife. And I hope to visit Oceanside, California someday and meet you in person and eat at your restaurant.
Well, you're welcome. Let us know.
That would be great, Sam. Okay.
Okay.
Well, you have a great day, Sam. It was good talking to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.